Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we are going to check out another Invicta figure, and I'm going to try to start getting through more of the Invicta figures a little more often, as there are many Invicta figures out there, and I've only reviewed I think like 3 so far, so I definitely need to start getting through some more of those, as they are really beautiful figures. Just like the one you are looking at right here, this is their Iguanodon, and it is an absolutely awesome version of the vintage Iguanodon, probably one of the best, if not the best, vintage Iguanodon figures you'll ever see. As per usual, if you are new to the Invicta line, they are always this same kind of one tone of color. The color differs per figure, but as you can see, there's no real paint application to the figure or anything like that, which is kind of part of the charm of the Invicta figures. And the more you see the reviews of the Invicta line, you'll probably tend to fall in love with that aspect of them, as I have already. It's just something that I think really screams out Invicta to me, so I do like it for that reason. But overall, the sculpt is really nice on this figure, and to show you that, let's go ahead and get a closer look right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt, you can see the very fine detailing of the head sculpt is really nicely done. You've got some beautiful sculpt and detail all throughout the figure. You can see the nostrils as well as the mouth right there. You can also see some really nice skin texture if the light isn't kind of shining the detail away. It's a little tough actually to kind of see the detail at certain times, but you can also see the ear sculpted out back here. Nice detailing around the eye and in the eye socket. You almost have kind of like puffy cheeks right there. As you can see, it definitely from the front, the somewhat puffy cheeks. As you move back into the neck, you can see some more really beautiful skin wrinkling going on, kind of some skin creases as you move down the neck. You've also got some very nice skin folding going on here in the neck and throat area, as well as some really beautiful creasing again, and kind of like that hanging skin of the throat, which is something that you definitely saw associated with the vintage Iguanodon appearance. When I was a kid, that was something that I most often saw on an Iguanodon figure, so I think Invicta really captured that feel of the Iguanodon as far as looking very old school. They did a great job and really did perfectly capture everything that the Iguanodon was about at this time in the sculpt. Moving down here into the body, you can see the shoulder blade protruding from the skin a little bit there. Really nice kind of structure of the arm. As you move down, you can get a sense of like the muscle tone and everything, and just in general the arm structure, the bone structure. You come down, you've got really nicely sculpted out hands. You of course do have the Iguanodon claws, those trademark Iguanodon claws, and they look very nice. Beautiful skin detail here in the stomach region. I think the skin wrinkling up because of the arm and the leg pushing together looks really nice. Very beautifully done. And again, you can also see lots of skin wrinkling and just skin movement being shown throughout the sculpt all over in the stomach region. Lots of creasing and everything going on, kind of skin folds. It looks really cool. Beautiful detailing in that area. You can also take note to the hip bone right here. As you move down into the thigh, you have really nice thigh muscles, very nicely sculpted out kneecap as well as nicely sculpted out calf muscles. Moving down into the foot, the feet look really cool. Pretty much your standard Invicta figure feet where they're all kind of like the toes are together and everything, but I think it looks really nice regardless. And then moving back up here into the tail, you can see more beautiful creasing, more beautiful skin texture as we move out the length of the tail. Just in general, the sculpting of the tail is fantastic. And then of course it's in a tripod position with the tail on the ground, because at one time that is exactly how we believed Iguanodon did look. This side as well is really beautiful looking. Nice sculpted detail even up here on the top of the head. This figure is just so bright, it's almost messing with my camera due to the very bright yellow coloration of it. Moving down into the neck, once again you can see some really nice detailing of the skin texture, and the neck is turning to the left, so you can almost kind of see the neck stretching and pulling right here to the appearance of the neck kind of turning. It looks really nice. You also have some ridges that run down along the spinal column of our Iguanodon. Moving down here into the body, once again you can see the shoulder blade as well as the arm and hand, and of course the Iguanodon claw. But it's pretty much the same as we saw on the previous side, because it's almost in the same position, ever so slightly different. So you don't really see too much difference as far as movement, but you can see, just like on the other side, the skin kind of bunching up right there. But it's not bunching up quite as much, because for some reason over here it looks like this leg is closer to the arm as this leg's a little further back. So you really see a lot of skin bunching here. This leg is pretty similar in distance, but you don't see quite as much skin bunching because this arm isn't pushed into the body as far as it was on the previous side. but you can once again see some beautiful skin texture, beautiful skin wrinkling and creasing going on in the stomach region. Just like the previous side, really nice hip bone, as well as some great muscle tone the entire way down the leg, and that really nice foot sculpt. These figures actually look incredible once you put some paint on them. I did repaint 2 Invicta figures a while back to make a little diorama, so I will include a link in the description for you to check that out. If you have not seen that video, it'll show you just how good the sculpts of Invicta figures are once some paint is applied. And then you can run up here into the tail, once again run out the length of the tail. It looks really nice long Iguanodon tail. And then you can see the underside also sports some decent sculpt. You have some nice skin texture, but there's not too much going on. The undersides of the Invicta figures are never usually the most detailed areas, but still decent enough. But overall, as far as an old school Iguanodon, a vintage Iguanodon, this is probably the best you'll ever find. And clearly such a good figure that the Larami figures, I think it was, I'm actually not too positive, but there was a line of figures that bootlegged the heck out of this figure. It was all over the place, so that may be one reason why you might actually know it, but originally it was an Invicta that was bootlegged, I think by Larami was the company that did it, but this original Invicta is absolutely awesome. As far as a size goes, from the snout of our Iguanodon to the tail, you are looking at about 7 3/4 inches, just a little under 8 inches, and very close to 20 centimeters, actually almost right about on the dot there with 20 centimeters in length, and for a height about just under 4 inches or 10 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line, next to our vintage Iguanodon, our Invicta Iguanodon, and you can get a pretty good idea of the size of the figure next to these, I would imagine. It's not too small, but it's not too large. It's actually a really nicely sized figure. A little bit larger, I would say, than an Attack Pack figure. As you can see, the Iguanodon in general is pretty close in size. There goes Muldoon. Pretty close in size to the Colovosaurus there, so it's roughly around the Attack Pack size range, but a good bit taller there because it is standing on 2 feet in a tripod pose. So this Invicta Iguanodon figure is absolutely awesome, as is every Invicta figure. You're probably never going to hear me say anything otherwise when it comes to these Invictas, because I absolutely love them. I never actually owned any Invicta figures as a child, which is definitely depressing, because a lot of the times I'll look through the comments and see you guys kind of stating, oh, I owned that figure when I was a kid, and I owned that figure when I was a kid. I never had any Invictas when I was a kid. It's just something that my parents never actually acquired or anything like that for me. I did have some of the knockoff Larami figures, but never the actual Invictas. I always saw them kind of displayed in dinosaur documentaries and things like that, so I was always kind of like aching to have some, but it wasn't until I was an adult that I really got a hold of a couple Invictas, and I have absolutely been blown away ever since by just how much beautiful sculpt and detail is crammed into the Invicta figures. Absolutely some of the best dinosaur figures we will ever see, even if they are severely outdated as far as the sculpts go, and I think that's actually one of the aspects I like the most about them, is because you have a very cool line of that vintage old school look of dinosaurs when it comes to the Invictas, so it's definitely something that I'm quite partial to. I do really love that, and this Iguanodon completely embraces all of that. Of course, having that very old school look with the tripod position, the tail dragging on the ground, the legs are really quite low to the ground and everything, and just in general looking almost like a bit of a dopey lizard, as opposed to what we now know Iguanodon looked like. But I really did love this look of the figure because it's the look I grew up on, so I think Invicta did a great job of really capturing the overall beauty of that old school style of Iguanodon. Sculpt-wise, it is absolutely incredibly packed with detail, and every ounce of movement and sculpt work that you would expect to find on this Iguanodon is beautifully shown throughout the sculpt in every way. Of course, paint is just nothing special, it's nothing flashy. You have just that one solid tone, as you usually do when it comes to an Invicta figure. This time, they chose a yellow for the Iguanodon, and like I have stated in the past, just because this figure is yellow, that is not Invicta insinuating that the animal was yellow itself. They just choose random colors, it seems, and make their figures look like that. There were some painted versions of Invicta figures released at one time, but the main line of Invictas were all this one solid color. And I really think that it's just kind of that one thing that screams Invicta to me. Really, is something that I absolutely love about the figures. I would normally not really like a dinosaur figure that's just one solid color with no real paint application or anything. It just kind of looks like it has a base coat and it's prepared to be painted, but when it comes to the Invicta line, I actually do really quite like that. So if you would like to pick this up, I will do my best to find a link to include in the description, most likely on eBay, because this figure is very long discontinued. So make sure you check the description, head on over there and pick up this really cool Iguanodon if I can in fact find a link for you. But otherwise, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.